Transmoodiness, a podcast where we proudly say the quiet part out loud and wear our hearts on our sleeve. Sipping a tea while listening to this podcast is encouraged. I'm still thinking about you, unfortunately. I hope I run into you just to tell you I don't fuck with you. I was doing well. I was doing me. After we ended things, you were on my mind for a week or so, but then, suddenly, you weren't even a particle in my universe. Based on what you shared with me, it seems like you allowed your last relationship to turn you into a piece of shit. You played the victim card, hard. At first, I thought it was a sign of vulnerability, but I quickly realized you expected me to do the same. We only spent like 6 weeks together. We have to spend at least 10 weeks before you graduate from the romantic kiki phase. You said you'd call back, but a week passed and you never did. Maybe your last lady responded to your silence with concern. Perhaps you didn't hear me well enough when I told you to stop assuming I would react to things in ways that I never have. After 10-ish days of no contact, I got the feeling you'd reach out soon with some lame excuse about being busy. As much as I'd want to ghost you back for good, I know I wouldn't. I'd like to believe that I'd have a super witty response that would let you know it was unacceptable to do that to me, and that I'd prefer if you returned to your ghostly ways, silent, invisible, and absent. However, I've done that before. I tried to do everything differently with you, so I took an alternative route. I blocked you. There went my chances of ever knowing if you'd apologize, give me an explanation, or say hi. There went my chances of knowing if you'd call back after your nervous system calmed, or tell me you'd made a mistake. There was less than a 1% chance I'd let you back in, but I just wanted to know that you cared. When you were in my life, I wished I had more grace with you. But looking back, your lack of emotional availability and sufficiency and emotional intelligence and self-awareness caused me to distrust you. The day before we never spoke again, I debated making a pros and cons list about you. But in that same moment, I realized there was no saving us. I've made one of those for every man I've had real feelings for before you, and just like you, I've never spoken to them again. That's why I called you, to let you know that I enjoyed our time, but we're heading in different directions. I think you knew why I was calling, and that's the reason you never called back. Or maybe that's what I tell myself to rid some of the sting. Perhaps your inability to contact me ever again releases some of the sting too. Hearing from you one last time, even if it were weeks later, would have stroked my ego, and a pros and cons list would have made me feel like I'd done my best, but those things would have set me back in the motion of old habits. Now, after time has passed, I feel your warm presence and your smiling face randomly when I close my eyes. I know that if you saw me in the wild, you'd try to greet me with a hug and kind words, and that pisses me off. I've never had a proper crash out. Not that I'd even waste my first one on you, but sometimes I wish I had it in me to be a little more feral. I think every man I've dated, minus the one who ghosted me for sending him my affiliate link to a bidet because he needed it, would treat me like that if they ran into me. And that pisses me off. You hurt my feelings, and so did they. Yet, my final act has always been to release my grasp the moment you all did, without any real goodbye. They always came back, and that's why I know you would have too, if you weren't blocked and had never known my social media handles. As intentional and mature as I was with you, you ended up being just as basic as everyone else. And that's forced me to change my perspective about you. I liked you because I'm more seasoned in dealing with my emotions. I can communicate and advocate for myself effectively, and I genuinely like myself. I see now that my interactions with you reflected how beautifully I see me. Your inability to communicate and resolve conflict will afford you the exact treatment you deserve. My energy can no longer be wasted on imagining I run into you and ignoring you the way you ignored me, so you can, hopefully, feel what you made me feel. I was given signs to leave you alone before I finally did, and I can accept responsibility for that. So, thank you for the lessons and for being a mirror to reflect how sophisticated and formidable I am. I don't know what I'd do if I ran into you or somehow heard from you again. Frankly, that's none of my business. But I can rest easily knowing I'm free of someone who wouldn't benefit my life. So, this is my first formal goodbye to an old flame. Best of luck to you, because I'm done thinking about you. So this piece, it came to me, honestly, how a lot of them have been coming to me. This one, though, in particular, was in the park, Madison Square Park, to be exact. I was just sitting in the park and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I could run into someone right now that I don't want to run into, and that would be really fucked up. And it would be even more upsetting because I know they would discard how they made me feel. Granted, I haven't told them about it because they didn't give me the opportunity because he fucking ghosted. This piece really just reminded me that the reason I feel the way that I feel is probably because I have been disconnected all along. And I think that that's a pattern that I'm really realizing in the people that I've been dating. There's a pattern with them. Sometimes look-wise, but mostly personality type. I feel like they're all so different looks-wise. But the personality rings true, and I don't get it. I mean, I do get it. I think I need to dig deeper, but there's something about someone who is such an intellectual and thinks deeply and has great conversation. And I be doing all the talking that gets us to those new perspectives and those new thoughts and those new ways of thinking. I realized that it's really not them at all. If they were to lead the conversations, it would never go like that at all. And I'm realizing that I just love myself, okay? I just love myself. And when I'm thinking about this person, I'm just thinking about the way that I felt around that person. It really isn't even him, and it's not even any of them. I guess I say all this to say I realize that I have been holding space for someone who genuinely isn't who I thought they were. I'm just going based off of a reflection that I have in my head, and when they showed me their true colors, I got upset because I was doing what a Leo rising does. I was paying attention to me. I was paying attention to how I felt. I was paying attention to the interactions because I was the star of the interaction. And one thing about me, I love to be the star. And you know what I'm realizing? I don't think that I am dating the guys who want to date a fucking star. This person in particular, we had conversations, he wanted to be the star. And I'm like, that's good for you. But in actuality, it was never gonna work because he knew who shined brighter, and it wasn't him. I've been on a dating hiatus. I don't think that I'm wounded by this person. I didn't even know him for that long anyway. If anything is wounded, it's my fucking ego. And that's fine. I'll allow it because I hold space for my ego. I love her so much and I will never stop. By the time I finished writing this piece, and I'm happy that I did it in a couple of days. Usually I do it in one day, and then I go back and I make edits and, I shave off some of the hardcore stuff because believe it or not, I realize that I call the person that I'm talking about a piece of shit, but it actually was worse than that, if you can believe it. And it's not that I think it's not true. I think it is true. And I would have said that to that person at any point in time, because why are you talking about something that I didn't ask about? Why are we on this topic right now? We're on a date, you know what I'm saying? And I've had my fair share of dating men who talk about their exes, and that was actually the last time we ever went on a date when he did that. I felt like we were far enough along, but I think that I realized, he's not ready. He is not ready for this. Even though it's been years, I don't think he's been doing the work that he needed to do in that time. And it's fine. I just am upset because I would have loved to have a conversation about it and move on like adults. It's important to get to that point where you want to have conversations because I have not always loved conflict. I've not always had great conflict resolution skills, and now that I have these skills that I've worked really hard to have, I just want to use them. But then I keep running into people like this who, when I try to use them, they run away and they don't want to speak again. I'm gonna have to be Mel Robbins, and I'm gonna have to let him. A big part of growing up and a big part of this healing journey is doing what I can do and not reacting. I didn't react to him. That's why you guys are getting everything. You guys are getting so much of me right now because I did not share those words, and I'm happy that I didn't, because that wouldn't have even been a safe space. I probably would have been met with bullshit. That person that I wrote about specifically didn't even have good conflict resolution skills. So I know he just would have said whatever he could to not feel uncomfortable. I'm actually really proud though, because one time I noticed he was doing that and I told him, I said, "You're bullshitting." And he was like, "I'm not bullshitting." And I'm like, I literally stopped listening to you because you are spewing bullshit. Looking back on that conversation, yes, it was harsh, but I said it in this exact tone. So he just knew I was just being serious. I wasn't being upset. I was just like, I see through you. Girl, that's probably why that man never saw me again. Damn. People don't want to know when they be bullshitting, but you know what? I'm going to always say it. Because I don't have the fucking time. I'm a boss-ass woman. I literally have multiple businesses. I literally am a mother to a dog. She's needing a little bit more of my help right now because she's injured. So I have a lot on my plate. And a man who's older than me bullshitting is not going to be one of them. I actually would love to know in the comments, if you're dating someone, and this is genderless, if you're dating someone and you call them out on bullshit, has it ever been a situation where they said, "Thank you so much for sharing," and changed? Because me personally, my feelings do get hurt. I don't know how I would have been able to receive that because this person was also a Leo rising. It was doomed from the start, and I get it now. But is there ever a point where you can share these things with someone and even if they don't have a response right away, they can reflect and be like, "Yeah, you're right. You're right, and I'm ready to move on. You're right, and I'm ready to do things a little bit differently." Like, is there ever a point where someone says, "You're right"? I just have to know. This is the last thing I'm going to say because I'm kind of starting to get off topic. But I'm reading The Artist's Way. I'm at like 55 days of morning pages. But I was kind of not doing the tasks. I kind of started the morning pages and then stopped. But like now we just finished week 3. And it's true, when you get to week 3, a lot of anger may surface, which is exactly what I was feeling this week when I was writing about this piece. And luckily, by the end of the piece, I came to some sort of resolve. And it's just to let go of that result that I thought I was going to have. You know, maybe I was so upset because I had an idea of how this conversation was going to go in my mind. Maybe I was so upset because I've never really had the courage to tell someone, "Hey, this has been so fun, but this actually doesn't work out because of X, Y, and Z." Like, I feel like he robbed me of that opportunity of coming to the next level within myself. And I can't even be upset because that man, yes, he was insecure, not in the insecure way where he brought me down, but because I don't think he literally could. I literally spoke so highly of myself, as one does, as one should, as you should. But I do think that sometimes you're, as a mirror, you shine so bright and people are not ready for that. And I just have grace because he just was not ready for the shine that a Caradine can give. Whatever forever, you know? I'm just really happy because I got here. I got to this point. And I am going to be able to use those skills someday. And I am going to be able to say exactly how I'm feeling someday. And someone will be able to reciprocate. And someone will be able to give me everything that I need intellectually, but they will also be emotionally intelligent, and they will also be emotionally available and self-aware and all of the things that I am becoming, that I am. I'm not even becoming, I am it. So while this is called I'm Still Thinking About You, unfortunately, it ended exactly how I feel. I'm done thinking about you because it was never about you. It was about me. There's nothing that I love more than knowing that I'm just that bitch. There are going to be people, new and old, that want a little piece of that pie that is you. But sometimes they don't have a knife good enough to cut into it, to cut that perfect slice, and that's on them. Keep driving through the wall that is you, and the wall could be all of the things that people have put onto you that are just projections that have nothing to do with you. I think the point here is to keep digging and digging and digging until you get to that core that is you. And yes, people come into your life so they can show you in a better light, but not everyone's going to show you in the proper lighting. Fuck them. Oh my God, I can go on and on, but I'm not going to. See you someday for the next post. Tuesday for the next article, and I just want to do a quick little shout out. I have a little section under Sunday Morning Juice called Media Me Please, where I talk about TV and film and music, and I am happy to announce that I just got accepted to do press coverage for the Tribeca Film Festival. So you can bet your bottom dollar you will be getting so much coverage from June 4th to June 15th, all via me, straight from the Tribeca Film Festival. I am so excited. Oh my God, this kind of feels like a dream come true. I'm excited to talk about these things. I'm excited to look at myself from the perspective of movies, because that's why I love TV and film. I see myself in characters like nobody's mother freaking business. Elisa Carradine is my YouTube. I went to Sedona and we hiked the tallest mountain in Sedona, and that video took me 20 hours to make, so please watch it. I'm gonna link it in this description. That's all she wrote. Thank you so much for listening. I am gonna see you later, babes. Thank you so much for listening to the Sunday Morning Juice Trans Moodiness podcast. I want to hear your experiences and I want to hear what you have to say. So make sure to subscribe on Substack and wherever you get your podcasts. Join the community, join the chat room, and leave your comments. There is so much to unpack in this life. See you next Tuesday.